Hey everyone, it's Tiffany, and welcome back to the podcast. We are doing a really fun Halloween special with a series of super cool guests. We're going to be talking about the history of seances. I have some pumpkin growers that are going to be coming onto the podcast. I have a friend who's going to talk about Celtic cauldrons and all kinds of fun, neat, witchy Halloween stuff. But today is super exciting because we get to pick my friend Tawney's brain. So welcome back, Tawney Lewis. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I love working with you, talking to you. So thank you.
Yeah, I love working with you and talking with you too. I'm going to give you guys a brief introduction of Tawny so you get to know her, like her, love her, follow her at Intuitive Tawny.
Mhm.
And then after we do that, here's what's going to go on today. So we're going to get to ask Tawny about the positive side of paranormal. We're going to talk about UFOs. We're going to talk about poltergeists and investigating burial grounds. This was a huge topic. So I have full body chills. I can't wait to hear your take on it. And then at the end, we're going to talk about how to prepare for Halloween ghost walks. And Tawny's going to give us a little Halloween reading for everybody. So you want to make sure you stay through to the end so you get your reading from Tawny. Tawny lives in Hollywood, and she is an Aries sun. She has a Taurus moon, and she's Cancer rising, which means that a lot of people like to tell her their life story. Am I right?
Yes. Accurate. Yeah.
And so she also has Aries at her midheaven at the top of her chart, which means she is a fire starter. She's here to start things, to get things moving. There's a quickness to her energy. She is a pioneer in many ways because of this, right? What else did I make notes about your chart? You have a mission to share information. Your
Yeah.
North Node is in Gemini, and your Saturn is in Scorpio. And so, to me, for all of my astrology friends out there, this points to somebody who would have a business in paranormal investigation that takes it to the professional level. And that also, with the North Node, your point of destiny, what's calling you forward is to share this information. It's in Gemini, an information exchange. So, Tawny teaches classes, she informs through TikTok and through Instagram, and she's on TV. And some of the things that she has been a featured expert on in terms of the paranormal world are Tubi's original documentaries, The Scariest Places in America. There's no the, just Scariest Places in America and Scariest Places in the World. And she's also going to be featured in an upcoming paranormal docu-series premiering this fall. So I don't think we're allowed to talk about it yet. Is that right?
You can, sure. It premieres next
Okay.
Friday.
Okay, tell us about it. What's premiering?
Yeah, so it's called Paranormal Revenge. This is for the Canadian listeners. It airs on CTV Sci-Fi next Friday, October 6th. It's basically a show about people who have had not just like ghost stories, but terrifying, malevolent experiences with spirits. And they can't explain it. They don't know what happened. And it to them, it feels like the spirit was trying to get revenge on them. And so I'm one of three experts that are actually giving feedback or suggestions or opinions about what we think is happening and what they should do to remove it. And so it's super interesting. It's very different, but yeah, I'm super excited for everyone to see it. The American dates have not been announced yet. We're waiting on find out who the network is for the American side. But yeah, I'm very very excited about it.
Well, congratulations. That's a huge career move. And I love seeing you on screen. I love watching your interviews. Um, one more little tidbit about Tawny is that some of her investigations, I mean, she's done investigations all over the world, but the three that you pointed out in your bio are Old Montana State Prison, the Whaley House, and Bracken Fern. Is it Manor or
Yeah,
Manor? Manor.
yeah,
Okay.
rapid fire manner.
Okay. My first question is, do you like Halloween?
I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, not just the actual day, but like September, October, just doing like Halloween festivities. Like last night, I was at Universal Studios Horror Nights. Sunday, I was at Not Scary Farm. So to answer your question, yes.
That's fun. It's a not scary farm. Is that what you said?
Yeah, not every it's massive. So for example, year round, Knott's Berry Farm is Knott's
Oh,
Berry Farm. Like, it's just like regular quiet. It's not that busy there. But the month of September, October, they're raking in millions because they have top of the line mazes, monsters running around. Like, it's so cool. Like, I would recommend anyone that has never been, you're coming to California during the holiday season, Halloween season, go to Knott's Scary Farm, go to Universal Studios Horror Nights. Like, it's awesome.
okay. All
Yeah,
right. That sounds like a lot of fun.
it is.
So before we forget, again, and Tawney is Intuitive Tawney on TikTok and Instagram. I'll put those in the links below. We wanted to start this talk about the positive side of paranormal. And that was a topic that you brought to the table, which I really appreciate. And there's one, I guess, story I could think of to contribute, because when I get called to do paranormal stuff, I think there's this expectation that something spooky and dark and scary is going to happen. And I feel like I'm a real letdown when I get there. And I'm like, no, I think there's just a
Yeah.
message that's wanting to come through. And one of my friends here in Austin owns a restaurant chain, and he had the experience of tortillas flying off of the shelf. And so his customers were scared to go to work. I mean, his
Oh my
customers were
God.
scared to come in, his employees were scared to go to work. And we went in and we did a paranormal investigation, and we just found a soul with a message. And it was
Mhm.
actually a very positive healing experience. And so I love that you brought that topic up. And can you talk about it from your perspective?
Yeah, I always want to talk about that positive aspect because the reason why people are so scared of paranormal, or they're like, oh, that's creepy. They fear it. They don't know anything about it. That's why. So when you don't know anything about something, you automatically just jump to fear. And so I'm like, no, 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 you have to learn about this. So let me make it clear. My biggest fear in life, and I'm not kidding you, was kind of funny, when I was younger, is ghosts. Biggest fear. Terrified of anything paranormal, ghosts, hauntings, aliens, all of that.
Mhm.
And as I age, I was like, I need to learn about it. I don't know why I feel called to know more and read about it. And I did. And that's when the fear started to subside because I understood what I was getting myself into. I understood a little bit about it. I mean, it is still the unexplained, but I understood it better. And I now have more control over myself and my own spirit, my own soul. And so when I tell people, like, also, when you mention the tortillas and stuff, so you're gonna watch TV and you're gonna see every man drone on and on about demons. Everything is a demon. Or you watch those shows. So be mindful when you watch the paranormal shows. Like, please, it's edited. More than likely, it's not that. I've been doing investigations for over 10 years now. Very rarely have I experienced that. I want to make it very clear that absolutely there is a dark side of paranormal. That it exists. There are dark spirits. There may be demons. It exists. However, my intention has always been positive. So I always let people know, if you're interested in this work, really, what is your intention? Do you want to be feared? Do you want to be scared? Do you want to see something creepy? I do it because I think it's interesting, and I like history, and I like learning about people's stories and bringing their stories to life. And I love all of that. And it doesn't have to just be hauntings. It could just be overall. I love Egyptian history, England history. So the positive side is the intention. Why are you doing this? And as you might say, well, I don't know. I think this building's really interesting. It was built in the 1900s. Like, it's beautiful. I wonder who used to live here. Cool. Okay, so that's paranormal. Also, paranormal has many different aspects to it. A lot of people automatically assume it's a ghost and hauntings, and that's it. Ha! You're right. There's a million things involved in paranormal. We are paranormal. As mediums, psychics, healers, people put us in that box of paranormal. UFOs, cryptids. Cryptids are things like Bigfoot or the Mothman or chupacabras. That's paranormal. What else? Time travel, past lives, reincarnation. So there's so many different aspects of it. And so that's why I always say the positive side of paranormal, because it's about learning about it, the interest, what your intention is, how you approach it. If you are that person where there are people like demonologists, they're interested in that. Awesome. To each their own. There's people that are UFOologists, where they don't really. I feel like a lot of UFOologists don't really look at the darker side of it. They're more intrigued by it. They want to know, oh, what is this? I want to learn more about it. Kind of my approach to being that paranormal investigator. So anyway, it's a lot of information, but I think it's important just kind of me having to break it down for people to understand why it's such a wide, it's on the wide spectrum. And if they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I was just scared of ghosts. That's why I was scared of it. That's why it's evil. It's like, no, there's a lot. There's a lot. So anyway, that's just my perspective. And that's why I always bring this up when I teach about paranormal.
Well, I really appreciate that perspective. I think it's like the voice of reason in a niche that can get a little kooky and a little out
Yes.
there, you know? And
Yeah.
so that's what I love about your work. It's just like straightforward, clear
Mhm.
cut, honest, real, spiritual clarity. Intention is everything, right? So yes to that. And you can hear some of my astrology friends, you can hear Tawney's Saturn in her fourth house in Scorpio. You can hear that desire to know the past and that interest to know, what is the energy here in the roots of this place, right?
Mhm.
That's really cool to hear you talk. So our next little piece that we want to talk about is UFOs. And I haven't heard you talk about UFOs. So this is exciting for me to hear your take.
So I put that on the list only because for many years, people were like, oh my God, I think I see something, or here's blurry footage, or it's always been very menial, little bits of pieces information. And again, that was one of my biggest fears when I was younger. No, like I didn't want anything to do with that. However, since I got into the paranormal, it's kind of naturally started to seep in where like I have a lot of friends that are UFOologists. I know, I would say the basics, moderate understanding of UFOs. So I wouldn't say it's like my fourth, but I think it's very interesting. I brought it up because I gotta say, the day is coming. The day of reckoning is coming soon to where they're gonna start making their presence known. And
Mm.
it's I just because it's like Halloween and paranormal, I was like, let me just bring this up only because I'm seeing more and more things online where it's like, okay, the videos are now getting clearer. Oh, there was a family, and I want to say in Las Vegas, I think, that saw three things in their backyard.
Mhm.
Okay, this is weird. Then they had like these bodies they found, and I want to say Peru, where what I found funny is that it was on all the news and nobody freaked out. Everyone was like, "Oh, that's weird." It's because it's coming. It's happening, and so it's one of those things where I think eventually. I don't know when they're going to start to really make their presence known. A fun fact that a lot of UFOologists believe in and spiritualists is that
Mhm.
they're already here.
Mhm.
And you're like, huh, they probably are already here. I can't prove it. This is just my opinion, but it's like they're already here. They're already walking the earth. They're just watching us. They're learning about us. And also take this time to, if you are interested in UFOs, to learn more about it. Whereas there are people that know there are darker aliens. There are aliens that want to harm us. I believe, they have names. There's different names for different types of aliens. And so it's like, learn about that because there's some people that are like, oh my God, they're gonna come here. It's gonna be Independence Day. Probably not. But it's like there are some that genuinely want to know, which are probably the ones that we always see in the footages that are the blurry footage of them flying around. They're just in our atmosphere trying to learn about Earth and who we are as people and accustom a little bit more to us so that when that time comes and they decide to whatever make their presence known and land, they understand us better and they want to reassure us that they're not here to blow up the planet or anything crazy like that.
I
So
think it's the opposite.
anyway, that's why I wanted to bring it up, just because it's like I said, the day of reckoning, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's literally popping up everywhere now. Oh no, wow! To where I'm gonna learn more about it. I'm gonna take the time and kind of start to add that more to like paranormal teachings, just because they're becoming way more present in our time. So yeah.
I know. I think it's a good thing to bring up because either people are, what I find is people are petrified
Yeah.
or they're super curious, right?
Mhm.
And I like the mindset of not, yeah, there's always going to be a spectrum and a yin yang and a good, bad.
Yeah.
And, there's a polarity of all of that. And there's this line of thinking. But there's also this element that some are benevolent that want to help us take care of the planet as opposed to destroy our planet. And I
Yep.
think that there's some lines of thinking that have marketed it in such a way that is terrifying to people.
Yep.
So to
Yes.
stay open-minded, I think is the most important thing. And if you're scared, right, then knowing what your intention is and how you're setting yourself up for a good night's sleep, right, things like this. When I was a little girl, my grandmother used to watch the UFO stories, and this was kind of out there for the 80s. You know, this was unusual, right, to have my cigarette smoking, oil painting grandmother be watching the UFO shows. But my mom claimed to have seen a UFO on our property, and I have two cousins in our area that have seen, or one definitely does not ever want to talk about it, right?
Yep.
So there's a contrast that goes on there.
Yeah. I feel like it's for the people that are afraid. They've been around for so long, and all the footage that we have, if they wanted to hurt us, they would have already done it.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, don't be scared. It's just start to gain more knowledge. That's kind of why I brought it up. Everyone start gaining more knowledge about it, so that when it happens, or when you start to see, like, we are already getting corpses on the news. That was weird. It was just weird. But again, the reactions to everyone was, I was like, okay, I'm not scared. I'm curious. What is that? Is that really a body? Why is it there? Where did it come from? What is going on? So yeah, if they wanted to hurt us, they would have done it many, many years ago. So yeah, learn up on it, everyone.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. So I had shared in our group that you were going to be on the show, and people started asking questions. And one of them really wants some clarification on poltergeists. And
Yes.
so I'd love to hear your take, your description on what poltergeists are, what the energy is, and we can go from there.
Yeah, super easy. Poltergeists are noisy, mischievous spirits. My personal opinion, they have a lot of energy. And so they are able to, they're noisy, but they can also move things. They can move whatever. For example, that tortilla ghost,
Yeah.
more than likely is a poltergeist. And I guarantee you it wasn't just tortillas that went flying around. I'm sure if you inquire more, they're like, oh yeah, there were papers everywhere, whatever, they
Oh, the
can move things.
handle, like the door
Yeah.
handle,
They
you
have,
know?
to me, they have so much energy. And so automatically, kind of like the movies, they're like, it's the demon. And it's like, maybe, I'm not saying it's not, but more than likely, it's someone that's just trying to get attention. And one
Mhm.
thing we also have to remember is that spirits have the same personality that they did when they were here in the physical. So they just be an angry person, an evil person, someone who wants attention, someone who wants to harm you. It's like, it's so, regardless of whatever it is, it's not good. So you never want to be in the presence of a poltergeist. So that's my
Poltergeist,
take.
yeah. No, I like that. I took a class from Stella Upton. I don't know if you're familiar with her work. And she had some pictures that were super creepy of poltergeists. And part of, I guess, that line of thinking is also just exactly what you're saying. It's like there's this huge amount of energy. You see the energy of people being picked up,
Yep.
right? Pillows being thrown, right? So what makes it poltergeist versus spirit? Is it actually a soul, or is it a combination of energy, or what's the difference there?
In my experience, it's weird. The reason I'm pausing is because it just could be anything, actually,
Yeah.
because there are cases where a poltergeist, but then you also see some sort of demon-esque activity. So you're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, like, what is that? However, there are cases of poltergeist where it's just a spirit, like I said, that has a lot of energy. That's just their personality. That is just kind of my experiences as an investigator. It
Yeah.
could be either or. I'm gonna probably leave it kind of, I'll say, fair like that, because I think it depends on the experience of the investigator. There's
Mm.
so many out there, and they will give you so many different answers. They're like, I think it's a demon, or I know it's just a person, or I know it's in its own separate category. You're gonna hear all of it, and I don't think anybody really has the true answer. They can pretend like they do,
Right.
but I think it could be anything given the situation and the place.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So hopefully that helps our friends here. Here's a topic that is kind of a sensitive subject. It's about investigating burial grounds.
Mm.
And so I want to give you guys a little history as to why this question was asked. And then I also want to address that, in my own looking up of this subject, there were some really, I guess, this got really taken into the news and people like ran with it in terms of Hollywood and making these Indian burial grounds this like whole thing, right? And so I think that in our minds that it's common to just go to like, oh, I must be on an old cemetery, I must be on something like that. Well, our listener says that they own a property and live on an Indian reservation, and that they know that there is an entity or spiritual energy there, and they're curious how to live with it in harmony. They feel like this energy seems very unsettled. And for example, this person had like some stomach pains interfering with sleep. She had the experience of her hair being pulled. And so she went to the space, which is very common, where we have to clear the energy. Now, I think you and I are aligned in that way that maybe that's not the approach we would take right at first.
Yeah.
But if you are scared, I think it is
Yeah.
a common thing to do. That's what this person did. And so somebody commented, they said that they also live on an Indian battleground and that they were told that it was a massacre site. And
Wow.
so they're curious about the intense energy, the portals, the spirit highway. What I would say is like get a spiritual real estate person, take your
Yeah.
pendulum out with you before you go buy property.
Exactly.
We live like where we live, I've found tomahawks there. Our neighbors have stories of like all the arrows being shot into the tree, waking up the next
Oh
morning
my
and seeing
God.
them. And so it does exist. And how you
Mm-hmm.
want to handle that energy, there's it's just a sensitive subject. And
Yeah.
so I know you have some experience with investigating burial grounds,
Yes.
and I'm just curious to hear some of your stories.
Absolutely. You might need to edit this part out. Just want to let you know I hear them vacuuming in the hallway, so I can hear you. But if for some reason I stop out, I just want to let you know because I'm
Yeah,
like,
no, you're good.
anyway. Okay. I do have experience investigating Indian burial ground in LA, which is interesting. And just a brief story in the Hollywood Hills, where a lot of people are shocked to find out that that's a lot of Indian burial ground. There's a house that is very known, the David Oman House. Look him up. He loves people coming to his house, and he has a lot of investigations. And when I was a new medium, I remember going to do an investigation, and all I saw and could feel were beautiful Indians on horses all around his house, all around the hills, just staring at us. And I never forgot that. And I was like, huh. However, they were not wanting to harm us. They were just there. It was their land.
Mhm.
And then I remember going in the house and he's like, it's so haunted. There's so much activity. Blah, 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 blah. And it was a very active house and he's so nice. However, I believe that all of his activity comes from the burial ground. That's just what my experience, and that was years ago.
Mhm.
So what people should know, the people listening about Indian burial ground, is that they were so their land is so sacred to them. Their people were so sacred to them. Everything, they're very spiritual people. Believed in the afterlife, they believed in just all positive beliefs. And so that is why I feel like it's so, when you go to a burial ground, it's so sacred. And I actually wish that we could, I mean, it is what it is now, but like not have a house on the land, or
Yeah.
I would try my best to avoid it. One, out of that respect, but two, because I don't want them haunting my house. So now, um, I feel like as an investigator, when it comes to Indian burial ground, it's either black or white.
Mhm.
Either you are able to live with them and work with them and just like live in that, just be fine being there and them not being bothered, or you need to move. That's my experience. It's either, it sounds like the one you just read where she said she feels like the spirit's unsettled. I'm not even trying to read into it. It feels like it
Yeah.
might be a woman. Just a minute when you were talking, I was like, probably a woman. Who knows what happened to this woman back then?
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what she's tried already. But one is like the spirits, they have the personality they did when they were here. Has she tried to communicate? Has she brought in a medium to try and communicate and see if they can live together on that property? That's just, again, this is just my feeling into it. But then it's like, if this is one that's harming you or draining your energy, or you can't sleep, you can't eat, they're literally they're draining your energy. It's their land. And so that's why I put it kind of like it's black or white. It's black or white. It's like, you, if that's if they're affecting you so much, you have to get away from the land, because it might not just be one, it might be thousands. Think of it
Mhm.
like that, because we don't know who's buried there, how many people are buried there. And so anyway, it's I know it was a little drawn out, but that's kind of like my experience, and two, just my opinion, and kind of like how I look at it. And it's like, seriously, to sum it up, it's like it's either black or white. Learn to live with it, or move.
And
Ooh.
what I don't hear you saying is clear it out. It's almost like if you build a house on a floodplain, you can't tell the floodplain to not flood
See,
plain. Like
you can't, don't get me wrong. It's like, I guess the reason why I didn't say that is only because that's not like the first thing I would have went to, is like, let's
Mhm,
clear it out. However, I completely respect anyone that does that. I
mhm.
think they can absolutely do it. I guess the reason why I'm like, oh man, did it work is because of the land and how sacred it is. And again, how many might be there. That's why I never brought that up. It's like, you got rid of one. They might go outside. Okay, cool, awesome, but they're still there, and there might be another one coming. We just don't know. So again, that's just my opinion.
And I mean, there are some perspectives that it's rude, right? That it's like
Mhm.
it's like I moved in and you get out of here. This is mine. I'm gonna, clear out everything. Like there's this irreverent attitude, I think,
Yeah,
sometimes. Sometimes
yeah,
you're just scared to death and you just want things to be still and quiet. And sometimes there's an kind of a not realizing that the act of clearing can feel irreverent. So I like the
yes.
advice that you're saying to just accept it, make peace with it, make friends with spirit,
Yeah.
be a good steward of the land while you're there, right? Versus just understanding that you yourself are not cut out for living in that type of energy. I
It,
myself
it,
am not cut out for living in
Same,
that
yeah.
type of
I think it
energy.
depends on the situation. So, like the house
Mhm,
I mentioned in Hollywood Hills, he
mhm,
is absolutely cut out to live there. He's
mhm,
like, his energy's great. And he's been living there for years, and so he's cut out for it. Whereas,
mhm.
like, oh god, a few years ago we investigated a house in Winchester, California. I believe that might have was Indian burial ground land, and the spirit was bothering a little boy. And so we were like, not even just clear sage it, we were like, get out,
Mhm.
go away. You're literally talk to him, you're disturbing this little boy. He can't sleep, he can't eat, he's scared.
Yeah,
This is probably your land. I would
right.
recommend you go outside, go find your people. They said they never had any problems after that. So it depends on so I actually want to apologize a little bit, because what I said was, I still stand with it, but it depends on the case, where it's like, yeah, you might need to clear it, or you might need to, again, just talk to that spirit like it's a person. So anyway, there's a lot of different ways to go about it.
There are a lot of
Mhm.
different ways to go about it. And are there any, I didn't look this up, so you just have to tell me, like, are there any places like that that are popular to investigate? I mean, is it like, I mean, you hear about hotels and you hear about like certain homes, but you hear cemeteries, but are there any like that?
There's countless actually. The one that pops up immediately is, there is belief that the Whaley house was in the burial ground. There's belief.
Okay.
Because when the Whaleys lived there in the freaking long time in the 1800s, it was haunted, which is funny because they haunt it now. So it's just a whole bunch of them. See, so it's like not just Native Indians, but it's like a family. It's just a energy vortex. It might even be a portal there. So
Mhm.
yeah, that one it is strongly believed to have been. I do believe it is, just because of San Diego and the history, and also Old Town, and I used to live over there, and just being in the area. It's Have you been there before?
Mm-mm.
My friend, who is a denying sensitive, he goes and he gets nauseous when we walk by
Mm.
in down Old Town. He's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, I'm not sensitive. I'm not." I'm like, "Yeah, you are. It's the energy behind you." So yeah, that's probably the thing. The one that comes to mind is the Whaley House.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's just, there's no denying that feeling, that nauseous feeling.
Mhm.
If you've been around that, like it's just
Mhm.
I don't know, it's very easy and
Yeah.
distinguishable and it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Um, I think we went to a hotel last summer and they were filming some paranormal show there. We didn't know that they were filming. We were just staying
Mhm.
there. And so as we go in and they're using all of their different tools and stuff and they're conjuring all of the activity and it's all everybody's all scared and I bet you're feeling like ugh, like you don't want to go
Mhm.
forward. It
Yep.
feels like the
Yep.
energy comes out. And so there's just an interesting thing, like what kind of person is it that when the energy is doing this,
Mhm.
pushing it out,
Yep.
there's a certain personality that is drawn into that and wants
Mhm.
to understand the unexplained side of things.
What
I
show was
think
that?
I don't know. It was here in Texas, and we were in Mineral Wells, and
Mhm.
there are several locations in Mineral Wells that have
Wow.
a high amount of spirit activity.
Wow.
I'm not paying to go do that.
Yeah, you know, I was
If I'm naturally there and interested, sure. But I wasn't down to like pay for that, which actually takes us into the next subject a little bit,
Mhm.
which is Halloween ghost walks. And so this is how do you pick them? What do you do? What are ghost walks? Like what happens on them? All that.
Yeah. Yeah, no matter where you are, there are all types of ghost walks. If you're lucky, your area has actual investigations. Those are my favorite because the ghost walks, you're just, in a group, walking around wherever it is, and they're like, this building might be haunted. Woo. That building over there might be haunted. Woo. And it's interesting if you like paranormal. However, there are some cities where you actually will get to go in. The guide will give you tools. When I was in Canada oh my goodness, about a year ago, I was wanted to do a paranormal investigation. I was like, ugh, all I'm gonna find are ghost walks. Nope, I found a ruin in downtown. I forgot the name of the theater. It was awesome. So I wanted to bring it up only because it's the Halloween season and you are going to start to see them ramp up wherever you are. And so if this is interesting to you, regardless of whatever type of investigation it is, I would recommend you go. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn again, like as you do a walk, you're going to learn like how about the history of the property, and if it's even interests you. If you go on a ghost walk and you're bored out of your mind, this might not be the field for you. But if you're like a little bit intrigued, then take it a step further and find an actual tour that will be more hands-on and they give you tools and you'll actually be able to explore. I don't know if they still do it, but the Whaley House used to do that. They call it like their candlelight investigations. It was years ago, and you would come at like 10 o'clock at night. And they would tell you a little bit about the house, and then they would give you tools, and you would have free reign for like an hour or two, and
Ooh,
it was awesome. It was so cool. So I don't know if they still do it. I kind of hope they do, but bringing it up because that's kind of the things that I think would be super interesting if you love the paranormal.
okay. Yeah, that is cool. Paranormal, it's like it's too late for me.
Yeah, true.
Why does it mostly happen at night? Do you have any kind of answer for that?
You know what? I think it's just spookier. Like, for example, I would want it to happen at night, but one thing to know, it does not matter what time of the day you do an investigation. It really doesn't matter. People say their beliefs is that the activities have heavier overnight.
Mhm,
3 a.m., 2 a.m. That's just some people's experience.
mhm,
I feel it's been kind of all over the place for me because I've done investigations at all hours of the day, and I've
mhm,
always gotten some sort of activity, so it doesn't matter.
mhm. Okay. Yeah, I'll be like your morning shift friend.
That's awesome.
I do not stay up that late. Anyway, that's good. Okay, so thank you for that. Our last little topic for today is just about Halloween. Halloween was my entry into the psychic medium world. It was Halloween of 1982 when I saw my first ghost. I was turning 3, so I
Oh,
was very little. But you don't forget those moments, right?
exactly. Yep. Don't
And
forget them.
what had happened was we'd moved into a new house, built new, and the bed had fallen. And I was telling my parents that it was haunted because there were ghosts there, right? This is a little kid.
Yeah.
And so Halloween is like kind of, I don't know, it was the doorway for me to understand really spiritual energy, spirits, and all of that. Now, I don't think anything bad was happening, but when you're around spirit, there's a heightened sensitivity. And what I can have, you can have goosebumps, you can have heat or cold, you can feel that spirit is around you, and that heightened sensitivity sometimes is experienced in the physical body, like anxiety, like that idea, like I've got to say something, or I need to raise my hand, or that sense of urgency. And then we misinterpret that as I should be afraid. But that whole neural pathway, it's like there's actually nothing to be afraid of. It's kind of like you were talking about aliens. If they were going to hurt us, they would have.
Yeah.
Now, maybe some people have different stories on that.
Yeah.
Maybe people have different takes on that.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we honor everybody's experience there. But in terms of Halloween, I have two questions for you, and then we'll do a little reading. One, I think, did I say this already when we were recording? Is the veil really thinner on Halloween?
A lot of people believe that. They believe All Hallows Eve, the veil is thinner. I have a different take. Okay, I agree. I think it is. However, I feel like throughout the year, there are many times that the veil is still thinner. It could be on a full moon. It could be on a Friday the 13th. It could be anything, So yes, but that's not the only time. That's just my opinion. So,
all right,
yeah.
cool. And do you have any other Halloween things? Do you have any good campfire ghost stories? Do you have any favorite Halloween movies or podcasts? Do you have favorite songs? This is so embarrassing, I'm going to tell you guys. I listen to Rosemary Clooney's version of Punky Pumpkin. So that's what I start my day out with. And then I move into Thriller, right? And I make sure I have some candy corn, right? Like I have little rituals and stuff, but I can't watch the scary movies. So I'm always curious, like, how does your Halloween go? Do you have any good little spooky stories or stuff like that?
I love horror movies, but mostly 1980s, early 90s. The new ones, not really. So I'm a huge fan of Friday the nope, wrong one. Nightmare, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Can't do
Love.
it.
I've seen
Can't do
all of
it.
them. I think my favorite, which is my favorite, Dream Warrior. Oh my god, I love that one. The story's just good and interesting. I love all the Halloweens. I'm a big Michael Myers fan. I think probably out of all the horror movies, that I'm a big fan of the Halloween franchise. So I also randomly love the movie Christine. A lot of people haven't seen it. It's old, but it's creepy as hell, and I'm waiting for somebody to do a remake. I'm like, can someone please remake Christine? It'd be so amazing. So if you haven't seen that, please watch it. Spooky. Ghost stories. Trying to think. I've had so many creepy experiences, and just being that investigator. The one that popped up immediately is my friend and I during like the COVID time. We were just walking around Hollywood Fair Cemetery, which is really cool. Like it's a lot of celebrities buried there, and there's a brand new grave there, brand new grave. And he's like, "Oh my god, look at this one!" That was over decorated. And he was like, "Oh, this must was someone important." So I think if I remember correctly, they might have was an influencer or a YouTuber. And we briefly walked by it, and I didn't want to look at it. Like it was kind of like what you said earlier, where something's like, "Go away," and I walked past it, and he's like, "No, come and look at it," and I was like, "No," and then he's like, and he was looking at his name, and he says, "Oh my god, I wonder how he died," and I said, "Car accident," and he's like, and my friend is a skeptic, so he looks at me and that's a car accident. He says, "Number one, why are you running away? Two, how did you know that?" I said, "I don't know," and then he whipped out his phone and he Googled the guy, and it was like a YouTuber
Yeah.
car accident. And
Wow.
he's like, "How did you know that?" I said, "He told me." And he's like, "But you weren't even trying." I said, "I'm a medium." And so that was a really cool, interesting. I don't think I've even talked about that one. Like it just popped in my head right now.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting because it's like, for those of you that are really getting into this work, you're becoming a psychic medium, you're developing, just trust your intuition. Cause I wasn't even trying. It's just trust your body. I felt I didn't want to be bothered because somebody was trying to talk to me. I didn't try. I wasn't sitting there overdoing it, meditate. Like I wasn't doing it. It just came
Mhm.
to me. And so, yeah, this was about 2, 3 years ago. But yeah, and then music. I like Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah, you have to. You have
um,
to.
yeah, that's what I like. So that's me.
So I reached out to the guy who was the composer for Halloween to get on the podcast. So maybe a
Sweet.
little
That's
join.
awesome. That
We'll
is
see.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
seriously, like that's my cell phone's ringtone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Halloween, that's what I was like a big Michael Myers fan. That is amazing. And if you do get him on, please tell him that's my ringtone.
I, absolutely, for sure. Um, and then outside of that, okay, I want to take us on one little last tangent because you're talking about being in a graveyard, being in a cemetery, and then
Mhm.
hearing from spirit. And here's what's curious to me. Like, here's the thing that's like I think could be totally easily misunderstood because when you die, when you start your afterlife journey, you're not like your soul doesn't sit in the place where the body is buried or the
Mhm.
ashes are scattered, right? And so, what is it about being in a cemetery that there is more spirit activity? Do you have any way to explain that?
I think it depends on the cemetery. I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
So Hollywood Forever here, very popular because it is full of a lot of celebrities there. People that were very wealthy can be buried there, and it's almost like a park. They have movie events there all the time.
Oh,
People do. They have yoga in the mornings there.
what? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yes, they have people jogging. And initially, when I found this out, I was like you. I was like, wait, really? But my friend and I would go so much during COVID because everything was closed.
Mhm.
It genuinely felt peaceful. It
Mhm.
felt welcoming. It felt relaxing.
Mhm.
It was almost like we felt okay. I was like, so this is why it's like a park. Okay.
Mhm.
Then I wanted to do a TikTok on a old Hollywood star,
Mhm.
and she's buried in another cemetery in LA. And we drove down there for the first time. We got out the car, and I said, "Get me the hell out of here." I was so uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I can't explain it because I took the video and the picture. I said, "Get the hell out of here." I didn't want anything to do with that cemetery, and
Mhm.
so the energy was different. There might be a lot more restless souls there.
Mhm.
Might be a lot more wanderers. I
Mhm.
can't really explain it, but I brought it up only because I feel like it just depends on that cemetery and who's there. There's thousands of people buried there, and that one the bad might outweigh the good. I don't know because it's not it's even when I drive by it, I want to hurry the hell up and get away from it. When I drive home, I'm like, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. Nothing's wrong with it. It's just I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, whereas Hollywood Forever, I'm like, this feels great. Oh, hi everyone. Hello, how's it going? So I think it just depends on the cemetery. But I want to also bring up a lot of people. There are people that say cemeteries are haunted, and there's a lot of people that say they're not.
Mhm.
I think they are. I
Mhm.
just want to throw that out there. I do believe, and then it's up to whoever's opinion, but I definitely think that there are. That's what I just said. Where there's some where they're like, no, they're not haunted. Maybe that one has more souls that are at peace, but then
Mhm.
the other one, that creepy one, might have a lot more that are not, and they're just there,
Well,
and they're
and
just
there's
like,
also this whole like what's going on in the living at that location, right? Like
yeah,
there's
true,
cemeteries here where people are gathered, like they're out there doing heroin, they're sleeping, you know what I mean? Like they're partying, like they're not
true, yeah,
right. Like, and so
yeah,
some of the creepy energy can be from the living that are
true,
inhabiting the
absolutely,
area,
mhm,
right? Or the grief, like there can be an
yes,
energy of grief that can be
yep,
overwhelming depending on, and that's from the living, you know
yes,
that are
hmm
there to be in a celebration of life thing too. We have
yep.
this superstition. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if I made it up or if it's a thing, but whenever we drive by a cemetery, we hold our breath. Do you know about this?
Hmm. No, I never heard of that one.
I don't know why. Maybe my mom wanted me to shut up. I don't know.
Oh. I've never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah.
You-
Yeah. So I still do, I still do. And when I travel, that's one of the things that I want to go to. I want to find a yoga studio. I want to see one of their cemeteries, right? I want to do something good for that place and bless it. But I
mhm,
don't know why, you know, like, I don't know. It's just a fascination. It's an interest. There's a reverence to me about it.
mhm.
I'm not trying to find some scary like situation,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
So, okay, let's do a Halloween reading. Do you have time?
I would love to. I'm excited
Okay,
about it.
okay, okay.
So basically, a question for you.
Yes,
I feel really pulled to do 2 cards. Is that okay?
that's great.
Okay, and then to clarify, is it reading for your listeners or for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Listeners?
No, it's for
Okay.
my listeners.
No, I did
I
not.
mean,
I've never done.
I would love a Halloween reading if you want to give me one. However, the intention is for anybody listening, anybody watching that just wants a little extra message this season.
Okay, so this is what I'll do because again, I'm just trusting my gut. I'm gonna do the 2 cards for your listeners, and then the final one, I'll do a third one for you. And yes, I have time. So hold, please give me a second. I love my cards; they're so beautiful. Oh, actually, they're the Lisa Williams cards. The Lisa Williams
Oh,
deck, so beautiful.
yeah.
Okay, so the first card that comes up. Ooh, okay. So the first one is the Freedom card. I don't know if you could see it.
Hmm.
Freedom.
Yep.
So this one makes me feel like, oh, it feels really good. So for the listeners, I feel like if the last few weeks, the last few months have been just really tough, stressful, almost like you feel tied down or you don't know how you're going to get like my stomach is turning actually like you don't know how you're going to get to the next month. There's just and it could be anything. It could be a horrible relationship. It could be you just not having enough finances. You are stressed at your job. The freedom feels like October is going to be amazing. It's
Oh,
like I literally the knot went like this. So for those of you that are seeing this and reading this, October is going to be a good month. You have a few more days. I'm looking at my calendar. October 1st, you're going to feel better. And as a matter of fact, you're going to feel better, but towards the very end, like October 28, 29, it's going to get even better. So if you're waiting for, like, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make some more money. I feel like you will. I don't know, my relationship's going to get better. I feel like it's going to get better. Like, so this is very, very good for those of you stressed out. So let me go for the other deck. Now, the second card I felt drawn to pull out. Oh, love. The love card. This one, okay, this is beautiful because immediately someone sees this, they're gonna immediately think like, oh, it's a relationship. I actually doesn't feel a partnership. There we go. I actually feel like this is more family oriented. So if you are having some sort of miscommunication or disconnection from a relative, a sibling, a parent, it's going to smooth out if there's any, and it doesn't mean you have to be fighting, it just means that there might have was some, I keep wanting to say miscommunication. It's going to be cleared up coming the month of October. So cleared up, you're going to get better. You're going to start talking. If there is a distant relative that you haven't seen, I feel like you're going to connect with them. It's all family. It's just interesting because you automatically want to go to that like partner. So yeah, heartfelt passion, unconditional love, togetherness. So yay. There we go
yay.
for your listeners. So I hope that helped. Now,
Yeah.
Tiffany's card. Dun, dun, dun. Give me 1 second. I'm finding a really good one for Tiffany. Hold, please. Hold, please. Okay. I got the hold, please from Lisa. Hold, please. Okay. Oh, okay. So for you, Tiffany, I got the secret card.
Ooh. I love
Um,
it.
oh my God. Sorry, my stomach is going crazy. Okay, give me 1 second. Hidden messages, holding back emotions, unlocking the secrets. This secret actually, holy crap, I almost cursed. This makes me feel like Tiffany that this is pertaining to your gifts.
Mm,
Um, I feel like okay, I want to say it right, okay? You have a healthy ego. We all do. However, there is a side of you that is holding back more gifts that you are capable of. For example, I don't want to talk about me, but I have to so you understand. For example, I am really good at past life readings. I don't do them like that.
mhm.
There is like 5 things you can do. And I don't know if you already know this and you're like, tee hee hee, or you don't know this and you're like, wait, huh? It's like you're basically, they're going to start pouring through within the next, I wanted to say 3 months, end of the year. Start pouring through the next 3 months. And then in January, I wouldn't be shocked if you start not just astrology, but there's other things that you start to really focus on and you're going to be damn good at it. Um, offline, I can send you more information because I like want to keep talking. But it came out really, really strong where I was like, okay, she's hiding some stuff and I'm excited to see it. So anyway, it's gonna become unlocked. And this is a good thing. It feels like your soul is like releasing. Just like your crown chakra is like, I'm opening more, like that. It's just like going crazy of it. So anyway, that's what I got for you. I'm gonna hold on to this because I might send you more later. So there you go.
That's awesome, Tawny. Thank you. Yeah, it matches my eclipse and the eclipse energy. So October we have 2 eclipses. It's eclipse season in astrology.
Oh
And
wow.
so for me, this eclipse is falling in my 11th and 5th house axis of the audience and the actor, the creative
Uh-huh.
one, and the crowd. And so it's very interesting that I have been changing my brand. I have been being myself,
Mhm.
right? And that there are more gifts coming, and I don't want to just splash out into
Yeah.
everything. Like, here's Tiffany,
Yeah.
here's Tiffany, oh, here's Tiffany. Like, I want
Yeah.
to ease into some things, but I can't wait to get off of this podcast to hear more about what you have to
She's like, sweet.
let me
Oh,
leave.
gladly. I'll send you
Well,
a voice message when I get a moment. So yeah.
that's great. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you for spending your time with me and with
No, I
everybody
love it. Thank you for
listening.
having me.
There were a bunch of people that were so excited that you were coming back. So hopefully we can have you back for class soon.
Would love
And
to.
I just hope that your fall season and that your October continues to be fun and smooth and spooky and creative, and just that like I guess that way that we connect to the great mystery of life is
Yeah.
what I admire. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, this curiosity that you have, I think, is what is attractive and magnetic. So
Mhm.
thank you for hanging out with me, Tawny.
So
And until
thank you.
next
I always
time.
love doing this. Thank you so much. And I would love to come back.
Okay. Yeah, you got it.